like it. I don't know how to play the piano. I grew up here. Youngest, this whole neighborhood was just older kids. And I was the youngest. Redhead kid. Oh my Lord, like fire engine red. Everybody played music here. Like everybody did. It was cool, you know? So music was always a huge thing with me. First and foremost, I wanted to be a rock star. That's drums. I played drums my whole life. I was in a band called Angry. It was the best band ever. The only thing that kept me from, I think, making it was talent. Because I was there. I was so there. I just wasn't very good. I did play with Nirvana in '92. We were playing a show at the Roxy, and they were playing a show at the Roxy. Yeah, it was rad. It was on their Bleach tour. Nevermind wasn't out yet, so never mind that. I got a job with Oakley right out of college as a sales rep. Me. Sales rep. Like, worst, dyslexic, looking at spreadsheets, just goes, yank. I was like, huh? But you know, I'm making 15 grand a month, 25 years old. But I was miserable. I hated it. So I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I left. I just quit. I'm like, I told Oakley, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Went to Frank, the owner of Stussy. I'm like, hey, I need a gig. I go, I'll work in your warehouse. I don't care. So I went from 15 grand a month to $8 an hour. And I was stoked. Sweeping the warehouse, cleaning toilets, doing whatever. I didn't care. I was just happy to be out of Oregon. That's when my career started at Stussy. Frank would come up to me and ask me questions about the industry. And then he's like, oh, you know, I think we should get into skateboarding. So got introduced to Richard Mulder. That was the first team rider, and that's how it evolved. And then Huff, Scott Johnson, Tim Montoya, Van England. Fast forward a year and a half, Frank came to me and we were running ads in Trans World, doing the whole nine. And he, like, in his infinite frugalism, said no more photographers. I'm like, okay, but we still have months of Trans World ads, and this is pre-internet, pre-digital camera. So I'm like, how am I gonna market this brand if we don't have print ads? So I went out, I called John Humphreys, because he lived by me. I'm like, I need to buy a camera. What do you recommend? He's like, just get a Nikon F4. I'm like, what's that? And so found one at a used camera store, 700 bucks. Got a bunch of triacs, and hey Mulder, let's go shoot an ad. And that's how we did the, you know, the one him jumping. Showed it to Frank, and he got mad at me because he says, who is the photographer? I told you no more photography. I'm like, I did it. I was like, oh, okay. He has a funny voice. Okay, then I'll let it go. So my learning curve went through the roof because I would just go, I'm gonna go shoot something, Frank. Okay. I got a blank check from Nikki, went to Pro Photo of Irvine, bought a ton of film, and had it processed, and he paid for it all for like the next 5 years. And that's how I got into photography, through Frank's frugalism, for sure. And that's how I got into Nike too. I was doing Stussy, doing the skate thing. Nike saw what I was doing with Stussy. I met Sandy Bodecker, who was the VP of Nike at the time, and he was like, hey, I'm gonna start this Nike skateboarding. Can you put a team together? I'm like, yeah, I can put a team together. So I put the first team together. Gino Iannucci and Reese Forbes, you know, Mulder and Supa were the first four. I remember specifically thinking, I want Rick Howard to look at the team and go, oh cool, those guys are rad. And that's who I went for. Like in 2006 or 7, I don't remember. They wanted me to just do Nike SB full-time, and I didn't want to. So I left Nike, and that's when my depression really kind of started. Not because I left Nike, not because I left Stussy. I didn't have a job at the time. 2008 happens, everybody didn't have a job. And so fell into a massive depression for a long time. Just deep suicidal stuff, like heavy stuff. And that's where Lance came in, and that's where Ray Barbie came in. Like, they helped me through it. It was awesome. Didn't have a job. I went back to Stussy and worked in the warehouse, literally putting Zoomy sticker price tag on stickers all day. Like, you know, just like, what am I doing? Like, this is where I'm at, you know, putting stickers on stickers. I'm like, screw this. I'm just full-time photography. Like, I'm just gonna go for it. And so that was in 2008. So that's when I started just shooting full-time. And that's how the transition happened. It was out of necessity, out of depression. Photography's always been like a mental release for me too, because depression is so narcissistic. And so what I do with photography is like, I'll go to San Pedro like at 2 o'clock in the morning and do like long exposure, because especially with film, you got to worry about the reciprocity failure rate and other stuff. And so your mind is preoccupied. So to me, not to sound hipster, there's something about pushing the shutter and advancing the film that's very therapeutic for me. I shoot a lot to occupy my mind. One of my photos got used in Rolling Stone magazine, and that was rad because growing up being a music kid, Rolling Stone was my teenage Bible. Even though it's crappy now, sorry Rolling Stone, but I love that magazine because it just brings me back to being 16 years old. So when I saw a photo of mine in there with Layla, I was like, wow, dude, I'm in Rolling Stone magazine. It was pretty cool. And we've been friends ever since. They're the raddest guys ever. They asked me to come and document the making of their latest record right now, which is #1 on Billboard charts, I must say right now. Shooting them in the studio is amazing, and again, I don't know what it is about when I look through the camera and just snap the button. There's something that goes off in my head that like, I just did something rad. I love it. I freak out. It freaks me out. I started shooting a ton because it's like, how do you freeze time? The only way I know how to do is take photographs. So I shoot a ton of my kids all the time. And what I do too is like, I'll print a bunch of photos, like little 4x6, or if it's my house I bought 6x6 or 4x4, throw them on a shoebox. So 30 years from now when I'm dead, they go through my crap and they see photos. That's something I want to pass to my kids, like prints. Like, you know, like this is what dad was into this. Oh, that's rad. Like he shot them, cool. At least that's what I would think. What are we talking about?